So again, welcome to Acrobatiq's Introduction to Biology Intelligent Courseware walkthrough. My name is Hal Turner. I work here at Acrobatiq as the Director of Customer Support. And it's my job to walk you through the basics of Acrobatiq and the biology courseware today. So let's start with our agenda. We're going to talk today about what Acrobatiq is, about Acrobatiq's approach to intelligent courseware. We'll talk specifically about this Intro to Biology course, and then we'll have a question and answer session where I hope you all will put your questions in the question field. We're not going to field questions over audio because that can present problems when there are lots of folks on the line. So, Acrobatiq. What's Acrobatiq? Acrobatiq is a spin-out of CMU's Open Learning Initiative, and the company is owned by Carnegie Mellon. The Open Learning Initiative was a 12-year research project that was aiming to discover whether the results of a traditional classroom could be matched or bested in a digital environment. We're rooted in our approach and our history are rooted in cognitive science and proven by 10 years of classroom use and by independent studies. And we are all about, and you'll hear me say this a lot, we're all about the measurable improvement of learning because, pardon me, this is our primary goal in improving education, the educational landscape. We want to add measurable improvement to that learning. So the way we do that is with intelligent courseware. What is intelligent courseware, you ask? Well, our approach to intelligent courseware is that we are an all-in-one textbook replacement, but not a faculty replacement. It's important to understand that what we produce is meant to be a complement, a tool in the toolbox used by the instructor. Textbooks are great, but we've got a digital revolution on our hands, and it's a juggernaut, as we all know. And what we've decided to do is embrace the digital revolution, discover tools that we can use that will improve our current models, and not simply become a replacement of the current model with robot learning. That is not what we're going for. So 10 years ago, actually more like 12 years ago, CMU asked the question of whether a digital delivery environment could produce results equal to or better than a traditional classroom, presumably at a lower cost because it was digital. And the answer was overwhelmingly yes. So how can we make the faculty's job easier? We, as an all-in-one textbook replacement, you'll find that the Acrobatiq materials have all the same things that you would expect from a textbook, plus lots more. All of these features, such as practice and graded activities, a grade book to keep track of the records, and a learning dashboard where the progress of your students is actually visualized. This is the most powerful tool that Acrobatiq courseware will offer faculty. And the really great thing is that all of these things, the replacement of the textbook with a much more engaging environment, better tools, better reporting, actual measurement of learning, all of this stuff is available for a lower cost than a traditional textbook. So here's Acrobatiq's approach to learning and what sets us apart. You may have seen other digital tools where the deductive approach was taken, where they will digitize a textbook, drop it online, and then they will tease out the engagement data. So they'll measure things such as how long a student spends on a particular page, the right and wrong answers on a test, and just a simple percentage that they've scored on those exercises, whether they have or have not clicked into certain areas. But all of this really is just engagement data. It doesn't tell you whether the student is actually learning anything. What Acrobatiq Courseware does is takes an inductive approach where from the start, the courseware is created with a background in cognitive science and a measurement, an intentional measurement of the students' learning, so that you can know what your students know, not just what pages they've opened, not just how long they've had their digital textbook open, but what they have exhibited knowledge or skills with. We start with the Course Design Triangle, which is a, you can see here where we start with learning objectives, and we complement that with instructional activities and assessments. The learning objectives are student-centered and measurable. We develop world-class content and practice exercises. And the practice exercises are designed to actually measure whether the students are meeting those measurable learning objectives. I'll get into that a little bit more later. And the assessments do the same thing, except that they offer grading. The aggregate picture of how a student performs with the practice exercises and with the assessments offers the instructor insight into the student's knowledge state that was never available before. It's not available from numbers of clicks. It's not available from time spent on pages. It's available when you intentionally design the exercises to measure the learning. So what we've got, our practice activities, we call ADAPTivities. And of course, the little video here does not want to play. Apologize for that. Why don't I show you an ADAPTivity? I'll switch over to one of our courses live. Is everybody still able to see my screen? Excellent. All right, let's just pick a random page, and we'll head in here and I'll show you one of the ADAPTivities. Let's try elements and find what we've got here. So every course has hundreds of ADAPTivities. They generally are learn by doing, which is what it sounds like, and did I get this activities. Learn by doings tend to have hints, not always, but they will tend to have hints, and every example will have targeted feedback. So let's see. Helium has 2 protons. What's the chemical symbol for helium? This is something that a student would have learned up here. Let's try H, and you'll see that I've gotten some targeted feedback here. It tells me this was designed by the learning engineer and by the subject matter expert to address common misconceptions that students will exhibit in these situations. In this case, it's clear that HO or H is a common misconception when trying to identify helium, and so the answers were selected for that reason, and so was their targeted feedback. I can ask a hint, and that drives me to the correct answer. I look up above. I could have looked up above and seen that HE has an atomic number of 2 and come back down here. This is how all of Acrobatiq's practice activities tend to behave. We have lots of different kinds of question types. We have somewhere close to 30 at this point to keep engagement and interest up, and all of them with their targeted feedback. Let's head back to the PowerPoint presentation. The targeted feedback helps with a student's metacognitive processes. It helps the student decide how and when to find the correct answer, determine how much help they need through the use of hints and continued usage. And in this way, each of the adaptivities adapts to the student's particular private or individual needs. Now, all of the measurement that comes from the data collected by these interactions in the practice environments and in the assessments is displayed by the learning dashboard, which you can see a representation of here. This is Module 7, Atoms, in the Introduction to Biology courseware. And this is just a dummy course. These students are not real, and so some of the representations here are going to be a bit off from what you would typically see from human interaction on the aggregate. But you can see here these colored bands that represent the percentage of students at particular learning states in your class. Green represents the high estimated learning of the material, yellow moderate, red low, and gray not enough data yet. So as an instructor, you can visit your learning dashboard before your lecture or the time that you're going to spend with your students, and you can address all the concepts where you see your class has been struggling. So for instance, here we see distinguishing between the atomic number and the atomic mass is something that the students have been struggling with. Nobody seems to have a high estimated learning here. Now, perhaps you had in this week's lecture, you had all of these items scheduled, but you can tell that most of the students have a grasp of much of the material, and you can let that stuff go, and you can focus your energy where your students are having the most trouble, distinguishing between atomic number and atomic mass, applying your understanding of atomic structure to the function of radioactive isotopes used in medical imaging, etc. And this is where it can really save you as the faculty a lot of time and help you focus your effort. So, biology courseware in general, specifically, it is a typical introduction to biology course, covers all the material that you would expect for a non-majors level course. It offers a study of the fundamental principles of biology through the exploration of these characteristics of life, the organization into hierarchical levels, homeostasis, growth, development, and reproduction, evolution, and interdependence. The topics covered, I won't go into these specifically, but you can see that these are all of the basic topics that you would expect, and this is just an example. These are the topics you'd expect to see in an introduction to biology course. You can preview the entire course on your own, online. Other features of the course, labs and quizzes. Every unit has a simulation-driven lab in which students are exposed to and expected to engage in scientific inquiry. So you'll find them making predictions and hypotheses, experimenting and collecting and analyzing their data and drawing conclusions. There are quizzes at the end of every module and unit for a total of 64 graded assessments throughout the entire course. And every single one of them reports to the gradebook and the learning dashboard so that you can get a clear picture with certainty of where your students are struggling and where they're grasping the concepts. There are other features. We've got interactive molecular models, animations, walkthroughs, things of this sort. Application spotlights, where the students are expected to take what they've just learned and apply it to real-world scenarios. And finally, I want to point out how much Acrobatiq courseware can save you time. If you were to think of this as a single digital solution to all the materials that you now collect, you have your textbook, you have all of your supplements, you have online materials where you send your students. This is meant to represent a replacement for all of that in one place. The adaptivities are like having a virtual tutor standing behind your student, and it reports back to you everything that the student does, everything that the student understands and doesn't understand. grades everything for you. You can focus your time in the classroom and not waste time on material that most of the students already have a, a strong grasp of, and you can be a far better instructor by giving your students the help exactly where they need it. So that's the walkthrough. Happy to take questions now. If anybody has any questions. Hi, Gene. Thanks for the question. Students enroll with the process of course creation is individualized for each instructor. So when you adopt an acrobatic course, you will have a button that allows you to create your own environment for your students, and part of that environment involves a course key, which is it's like a pin. It's a special code that you assign, like Bio 101 Thursday, and any of your students that you disseminate that course code to your students. They go to the Acrobatiq website and create a free account, and they sign up for the course using the course key, and then they remit payment there. And you can also have your students. You can add this to your LMS environment. Let's say you have Blackboard. You can include a link in your Blackboard class environment, and any student that's enrolled in your Blackboard class simply clicks the link, and that gives them single sign-on access, and they're sent right into the course that you have created. And it's as simple as that. Yeah, Dwayne, I'd be happy to show you a lab. Let me. Let's see. I need to find where. Lab 3, of course. Okay. So here's lab 3. Let me close any unneeded materials just to make sure that my bandwidth stays high. So everybody can see this? Oop, pardon me. Okay. So here in this lab, we're going to talk about enzymes. In this lab, we will investigate several factors that can affect enzyme function. So let's start here, where we have the setup with set up the simulation with these following parameters: enzymes 2, substrates 20, inhibitors 0, temperature 25, container 400, and pH 7. And we go ahead and click setup, and we start. And the simulation begins. And we are expected to run for 30 seconds. For sake of time, let's call that 30 seconds. And then we head to the first learn by doing. Count the number of products at the end of 30 seconds. We're looking for red dots here. So we come up here and we find 5 red dots. Let's see if that. Okay, so here we are getting the targeted feedback you'd expect, because I didn't run it for 30 seconds and I didn't get the expected answer. Then there you can see here there are a series of questions, followed by followed by "Did I get this?" information to help us determine whether the "Did I get this?" is designed to help the student uh, self-determine his or her understanding. And as you can see, there are several parts to the lab. Now, Dwena, we can continue, or I can ask you to give it a try on the website. You can go through the entire lab yourself as a if you have an instructor preview access already from the Acrobatiq website, you have access to this, which is on page 120. Okay, thanks. Kayleen, if an instructor adopts this, how long is it available to students? Yes, they can access it later. We have not come up with a final policy yet, but it is going to extend beyond the end of the beyond the end of the term. So I'm going to have to get back to you on that, but I will get you a definite answer. Yes, Gene, the fee can be paid through the campus bookstore. We're working on ways of delivering the material to the bookstore so that students can pay with financial aid. You can also pay directly on the site with a credit card or PayPal. Gene, I do believe that the learning dashboards reporting at the moment is based entirely on the practice exercises and the graded assessments only, and not the labs, because the labs are meant to be more of an exploratory um, environment where students can feel free to try things out and fail. And while while there are no grades associated with it, there are material data are recorded, and you can tell what they have worked on and what they have not. But there is not. I don't believe there is learning data associated with it, but I will double check on that for you and get back to you if I have that wrong. Kayleen, they're designed. The labs are designed not necessarily to replace wet labs, but because it's an intro course, they certainly can. We do intend for this to be a full textbook and lab replacement. It can be used by schools that are offering online only courses, but you're certainly welcome to use them in conjunction with on-site standard labs. I can't speak to whether they're better or worse, but they are designed to be standalone for schools that want to use an online only delivery of the course. The Open Learning Initiative is not going to be offering everything that you see here. The Open Learning Initiative is only offering material without the added features. And I don't believe that these labs are included in the Open Learning Initiative version. That the OLI version is going to be available until June of 2016, and then anybody who wants to use the materials is going to have to use them through Acrobatiq. And Gene, I'm getting to your last question now. There isn't one single comprehensive listing of the learning objectives across the modules, but I believe at the beginning of each of the modules or at the beginning of each of the units, you can find a page that includes all of the learning objectives contained therein. Uh, but if that's something that you want on paper, I'm sure that we can arrange to have that put down into a single document and emailed to you. Is that something you'd be interested in? Sure, no sweat. When you say view this, Dwina, do you mean the webinar or do you mean the course? Because the answer to both is yes, but the follow-up is different. Webinar. The webinar is being recorded and the webinar is going to be available afterward. Yes, absolutely. And I will we'll follow up with you. Everybody who registered and attended will get a follow-up email with further resources for you. All right, folks. Anything else I can help out with? Okay. Gene, the future version of the Acrobatiq offering is going to be everything you see here plus better. We are, for instance, let me give you an example. One of the things that we're changing immediately is the technology that the Learn by Doing and Did I Get This activities are delivered with, which is called Flash. And Flash is an outdated piece of technology that does not play well with mobile devices. And so what we've done is we are in the process this term of, while we're not offering any courseware, we are removing all of these Flash activities and we are swapping them out for HTML. And so everything is going to be cleaner and more functional and more mobile. And so that's one example of how things will be different from what you're seeing right here. The labs are going to be in the Acrobatiq version, but not in the OLI version. The learning dashboard and the gradebook are also not included in the OLI version. But by and large, the material that is here is the same material that you're going to see. It's just going to be delivered on a better platform with better technology. Yeah, sorry to hear that Flash has caused so many problems. We are eager to leave it in the dust. Yes, our this spring we are expecting compatibility with iPads and iPhones. Keep in mind that a lot of this is designed to utilize a certain footprint. So iPhone use is probably going to be difficult for some of the exercises, but yes, it will be usable on iPads and Galaxy Notes and things of that sort. Hi, Yong. There are going to be changes to the learning dashboard, though I don't believe they're going to be ready in the spring. I believe they're going to be ready in the fall. The statisticians and the learning scientists that are behind the student model, the learning modeling, are actually rewriting the model to incorporate a lot more forms of cognitive measurement. And it's going to be a much more robust, far more precise model. And we're also going to be offering new developer tools for instructors in the fall that allow them to create their own content that will report to the learning dashboard. So in that way, the learning dashboard is going to be changing slightly, but with great improvement. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that it's been helpful. I'm the director of customer support, so I field all the calls that come, or I'm sorry, all the calls, of course, and all the emails that come through. So please feel free to reach out anytime. You can contact us on the Acrobatiq website. And if I don't have the answer to your question, I will make sure that you get it. It's my job, and I'm happy to do it. I love my job. So anything you guys need, please let me know. Fantastic. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Watch for the follow-up emails with the resources on where to find the webinar. recording. Thanks, everybody.